Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you. Of course, we're pleased to be joined by the one and only Sam Paley, of course, who is the 2021 Mazda MX-5 Cup Rookie of the Year. How about that?
Yeah, not a bad title. How's it going?
It's going, man. It's going. But just wrapped up. Now you just wrapped up your season last week at Road Atlanta. You had some really good runs out there, but overall, how do you think you did?
Well, I mean, this season definitely went pretty well. My goal at the beginning of the series, or the season rather, was either to win the Rookie of the Year or win the championship. And even though Rookie of the Year was the secondary goal, I didn't really realize the experience that this series had. And, a lot of these drivers are really good at driving these cars and have been driving them for a while. And even the rookie field had some pretty stiff competition. It definitely wasn't easy. So I'm proud to, come on top of the rookies this year. And unfortunately, I didn't get a win this year, even though I came close. We were 0.008 of a second away from our first win at Road America. We were leading in Mid-Ohio by a nice margin when our ECU failed. But this season, we got 5 podiums and 1 pole, a few fast laps, and really turned some heads. So not really anything to be disappointed with, and I'm excited for next season.
Yeah, I know I've been following your career for a long time, and this is probably is this one of the best series that you've raced in personally?
Yeah, I think this is the best series that I've ever been a part of. Just the racecraft, how it's run. Obviously, we get to be with IMSA, which from my standpoint, a lot of my competitors' standpoint, being an MX-5, which is kind of an introduction to the sports car world, it's really great to be with the primary sports car series in the country, whether that be WeatherTech or even IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge. Supporting those series, and ultimately my goal is to be in one of those series, is something really great. And that adds to the aspect of the series as well and adds to the value of it.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of, and really, I mean, in sports car racing, you don't really see a lot of young faces like yourself in these types of racing, because sports cars are, everyone's very well experienced in those series. Nothing wrong with that, but we just don't see a lot of young faces around here. But overall, you learned a lot. But what was the biggest thing that you can take away from this season?
Yeah, well, I came from open wheel racing, so it's a lot different. We don't necessarily have a roof over our head. We have a roll cage, but it is a sports car at the end of the day. So there's a big learning curve in that. The races were a lot longer. So brake and tire conservation were at the front of my mind, where in past series, I never really have been. I've never even really thought about that, to be honest. I've thought about it, but not to the degree that you think about it in the MX-5 Cup races. The racecraft is definitely a lot different. You can get a little bit more racy when your wheels aren't exposed and you're not going to go over if you tap someone. And, overall, it's an entirely different experience, an entirely different car. So it's been a steep learning curve, but I've learned a lot this year.
Yeah, for sure. So now I know that the season is over, but now you're just getting ready for next season. I know in a couple weeks you're going to be right down getting ready for Daytona. I know this is the IMSA season in the last 2 years. I know it's kind of ended in November, but just in 2 months, you're going to be back out on the racetrack in January getting ready at Daytona. And that's where you're going to be heading in about a month or so. Overall, I know that, plans for next year get ready to go. Do you know what they are, or do you plan to stay with the team that you're with?
Yeah, so I had a great experience with McCumbee Mackler Racing this year. Chad McCumbee and Stephen Mackler run the team, and all the other guys. Truly one of the best teams I've ever been a part of in my career, and I have every intention of staying with them for next year and running the MX-5 Cup Championship again, going for the title. The season, as you mentioned, is pretty long. This year was 10 months long, end of January to middle of November. So even though we only had 7 race weekends, it is pretty mentally straining. It takes up a large aspect of your life, the training, the testing, everything that goes into it. And few weeks going back down to Daytona and getting right back into it. I'm excited, and I'm excited for next year to hopefully win the championship.
You mentioned talking about, the 7 race weekends spanning from all the way in January at Daytona and November for the at Road Atlanta. That's almost that's the entire NASCAR season in that span. So, what are you? So, but what I want to know is what are you doing during that off time? Like when you're not physically at a race. I know there's a lot of testing going on. There's a lot of things that you're doing, but for you, what are you doing?
Yeah, so me personally, I go to Indiana University. I'm in the Kelly School of Business there. So full-time student, which takes up a lot of time. And I'm in person as well. So I live in Bloomington, which makes things pretty hard when I'm racing and missing a lot of school. But so that takes up a lot of my time training. Train at least an hour or two a day, every day. These longer races kind of took me by surprise. I didn't really realize how much better condition I had to be in than previously. And then there's a lot of sim work that goes involved, a lot of sponsorship work. I work with Aaron Studwell over at EC Sports Management, trying to fund the season. That's basically a full-time job in itself, basically running a campaign to help get you on track. So there's a lot of behind the scene off track aspects that go into racing that people don't really realize. So it's a lot more time consuming than just 7 weekends out of the year.
Absolutely. So what do you think you might like one thing you might get better at this year in terms of like, the conditioning side, the mental side of things? What can you do there?
Yeah, so I think the thing I improved on most upon this season, throughout the season, was my mental. My mental state was never really bad, like not personally, but in races. It never really was bad. I think I was too impatient and just too go, go, go. And I needed to take a step back and realize the length of the race is 45 minutes. Not normally a lot of yellow flags. So I know the first half of the season, what I was really struggling with was just wearing out the car too much. So I think I have a lot more mental maturity now, to be patient, and then just set myself up for a better position in the race. That's on track wise. And off track wise, definitely conditioning. I think I want to be in a lot better shape for next year than I was in this year. And I took a little off week, but I'm excited to get back to it this week coming up.
Yeah, for sure. So talk about like traveling for races. I know your family is, I know your family's kind of split because, of course, with your sister doing all the things that she does in horses and equestrian and all that. Talk about like how you get a lot of these races and stuff.
Yeah, so I normally fly. My dad's a bit of a control freak personally, so he normally drives, which is actually pretty good because a lot of times he can take my stuff. I'd say he comes to, I think he came to 6 out of 7 races this year, and then my mom came to the other one. Testing, I normally just go by myself. But yeah, I'm normally flying out of Indy, being from Bloomington, an hour away from the airport. I did drive to Road Atlanta though, and I did drive to the Ozarks. So that was 2 9-hour journeys, which obviously takes 2 days out of your life. So, you're on track for 3 days, and then you spend another 2 days driving. So again, a lot more off the scenes work than people realize. Traveling all over the country. California, I was there for 2 weeks for, 1 weekend. We had 2 races on the race weekend, obviously, but then I was testing the week before, and then, it's kind of uneconomical to fly there and then fly back and then fly there and then fly back again. So yeah, I mean, the traveling, definitely travel a lot, definitely take up some time traveling. You rack up a lot of miles with those airline programs, which can be good sometimes, and a lot of long car drives as well.
Yeah. Lots of driving and flying.
That's for
Yeah.
sure.
So going in from that, I know that, with everything going on, it's what's your plan for these next few weeks before you get ready to go to Daytona?
Yeah, I mean, obviously next week's Thanksgiving, so I'm gonna go see my family. But my main goal is just to get back on my training, do some sim work while I'm home, and just really focus up, take a little break, and then just be really hungry to get back at it in Daytona in a few weeks to test. And then we're racing in 2 months already, so we don't really have the longest off season, which is nice and not nice at times.
Yeah.
Long off season, you definitely miss the racing, but at the same time, it's good. You get a lot of time to prepare, a lot of time to test, and then short off seasons like this, you may only get 1 or 2 tests in, so it can be pretty straining sometimes. And it feels like the season never ends, because the moment it ends, you're already preparing for the next one. But I mean, we all love what we do, especially, I mean, I love what I do. I assume my competitors love what they do. That's why they're doing it. So I'm already excited to get back in the car.
There is absolutely no off-season racing, which means there's no off-season for me. That's why you see me doing stuff.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Nope. So
I can imagine.
yeah, for sure. All right. Sam Paley, thank you so much. Have a good Thanksgiving. We'll talk to you in January before Daytona.
Sounds good. Thanks, Casey. I'll see you then.